Good afternoon. What's your name, where you're from, and why and how did you form this company?
My name is Seth from KL, 21 years old. Technically, I didn't form this company. I was absorbed into it by the founder and rose through the ranks as to CEO. And I helped the company grow from very small to where it is now.
For those that's unfamiliar with the brand, how will you define Smashpoint's core mission and the unique value proposition it brings to the market?
Smashpoint is an umbrella company, where by terms it's a holding company that does multiple modes of businesses under it. It has distribution, co-ownership, events, academy. So we are a one-stop solution for the pickleball industry and ecosystem. At the same time, it's very complex because there are so many modes of business under it. So we have to focus on each one and make sure that we are specialized in each one.
Could you provide a brief overview of Smashpoint's current operation, key revenue streams, and future growth ambitions?
Currently, Smashpoint runs 4 courts, 2 in Brunei, 1 in Malaysia currently, 1 more opening in Malaysia soon. We also have distribution of multiple brands, equipment, accessories, clothing, apparels, and so on. Currently, our key revenue stream for this quarter would be paddle sales and accessory sales. For the company, I guess to say future growth, you would say the expansion of our co-ownership, because that's a perpetual revenue maker. It is continuous cash flow, where compared to distribution, it's an up and down curve type thing. So our future growth would be expanding to other states and other locations throughout Malaysia, Brunei, and even Singapore.
How do you approach setting long-term goals, especially in pickleball, which is such a rapidly evolving market?
In pickleball, where it's a new sport and new industry, my long-term strategic plans go by quarter or 2 quarters, and I'll see what is the trend in paddle sales, the current atmosphere of the courts, and we'll sit down with my partners in the board and we'll see how do we plan it out.
What key indicators or performance measures do you use to determine whether these strategic goals have been successfully achieved?
From a business standpoint, what was the objective of the project? Was it brand exposure? Was it sales conversion? Was it asset expansion? And from there, we'll see, did it make sense? If it's brand exposure, the budget makes sense to the amount of impressions that we got. If it was asset management, asset expansion, the assets that we invested in, did the return in 6 months come back at what the projections were? So it always goes back down to seeing what the project we predicted was in 6 months or 1 year later, and how does it look then? And we will discuss it together. Not one person can make the decision, because to give an example of this is like, if it was a business deal or business project to set out for sales conversion, the method will be after the event or project is done, we will sit down and go through the P&L and so on and so forth, and see that for the amount of money we invested or sponsored for the event, was the conversion equal or more, and by how many percent? And then we will agree that, okay, above a certain percentage threshold of our profits, was it a success or not? And will we repeat this method again?
How would you describe your personal leadership and how it has evolved from when you first started your entrepreneurial journey to leading Smashpoint today?
I don't really listen to other people. It is a good thing, and at the same time it is a bad thing. But people always say I'm quite stubborn, quite hard to convince of other things. But from when I first started, I'm young, I'm at a position that if I sat with a room of CEOs, I'll be the youngest person there. It's the ego boost to you that makes you feel that you're unstoppable, but also makes you blindsided. I think 7 months now, I realized to be more understanding. I hear people out more often, especially lower staff of lower positions. I hear when they come to me, I have an idea or I have a suggestion. I'm like, okay, why don't we sit down? But I always tell people, how do you approach it? How do you increase your interpersonal skills when you're speaking to your boss or your superior? I always tell my staff, if you have a plan, write it out, summarize it. Don't just give me an idea in your hands, and then we'll see if you can include into the project. So I think my personal style is very strong-headed, fierce. I'm not that lenient sometimes, and I'll do what I want to do.
What would you say has been the most important leadership lesson or failure in your career, and how do you feel like it shaped you to become the leader that you are today?
The hardest thing of being a leader is managing people, because not every one person is the same. Being able to know how to talk to each person individually and make them feel seen and heard, I think is my most important lesson I've learned by working with other people.
How do you build and maintain trust, transparency, and credibility with employees across different levels of the organization?
Understanding them at a personal level, I think. Every boss has to have a certain level of image that they must portray, but at the same time, they must also portray a level of personality, being relatable to people.
How do you let them build trust?
What is currently the biggest management challenge that you face in Smashpoint?
My biggest challenge is being a 21-year-old having to manage 45-year-olds who have been in the corporate industry for 25 years. So my biggest management challenge is to be able to make senior management people or people of superior rank be able to coexist and understand each other's ideas and run the company in a unison. That's my biggest management challenge.
So how would you say these challenges have actually affected Smashpoint's performance and growth? And is there a certain issue that you feel is really affected more deeply?
Has it affected Smashpoint's performance? Yes, in a bad and good way. If your company was run by people my age, we will probably be faster than anybody else. We'll probably like fall off the cliff faster. Having people older who are slower, who will read through things 60 times, right? I've gone through multiple agreements with our directors in Brunei. We have like proofread agreements 4 or 5 times. And I'm like, why are we still in this Zoom call again? You know, we read it the first time and the second time, what else? And he's like, but the details are in the devil's in the details, right? So he's like, we always have to go through the details. And working with them, I don't see it as it's a bad thing, because you learn things from them. You learn their old ways. It's not that you want to take one for one what they do. Being able to comprise them with the way you work today to increase your efficiency and be more structured and be more detailed. In a bad way, it makes everything really slow. But at the same time, it became more structured and easier to understand to the normal person.